right, Mayor Adams due back in court on November 1st. It's possible he could face a whole new round of charges by then. The mayor declaring his innocence at a stop in Brooklyn after yesterday's court appearance.
She always said to me, son, don't you ever give up. Don't you ever surrender. Don't you ever let anyone to write your own narrative and story. I know my life. I did nothing wrong. And it would be proven that I did nothing wrong. I'm strong on that ground. But while the attorneys to handle the case, I'm going to fight for this city. I got a job to do, and I'm going to finish that job.
Also yesterday, School Chancellor David Banks announced he would be stepping down sooner than expected. Joining us this morning to discuss the mayor's mounting legal troubles is Cathy Fleming, a former federal prosecutor with expertise in political corruption. So good morning, Cathy. Very grateful to have you here with us this morning.
Morning. Happy to be here.
Okay, let's take a look at this. So yesterday, it was the first hearing in the case against Eric Adams. And we learned that more charges against the mayor could actually be on the way and that more defendants could be charged. So a lot of people, laymen are wondering, why wouldn't prosecutors just wait for all of their ducks to be in a row before making this initial case?
What happens is, as your case develops, you may develop additional charges or add additional defendants, and they may have wanted to seize some of the final evidence before they did it. Another reason could be that they want to have more time. It starts the Speedy Trial Act going again. What will happen is there will be something called a superseding indictment, and it will basically be the same indictment, but it will add charges and probably add people. And then the whole thing starts over again. There's another arraignment. There's another setting of schedules for trial and for discovery.
So you're saying this could be a tactic just to buy themselves more time?
It's hard to say that it's a tactic to buy more time. It's generally not done solely for that. But if you are scrambling to get your case put together, it's helpful to have the more time.
All right, Cathy, let's talk about School Chancellor David Banks moving up his departure date significantly. Do you feel like the mayors of the mayor's inner circle, they're feeling pressure?
I would suspect so. It's a little strange because remember we had an announcement that he wanted to stay there and have the continuity for a while before he was stepping down, and now he's stepping down. And it could mean lots of things. It could mean he's being pressured to be a witness. It could be he's saying, I want to get out. Well, the getting out is good. There are lots of reasons he could be getting out, but it does seem like leaving a sinking ship.
Yeah, I mean, Chancellor Banks, he just got married to his longtime partner over the weekend. Any chance that he could now claim spousal privilege if he's called to testify?
Sure, he could. If communications between spouses are in fact privileged. So to the extent that he had communications with his wife, now wife.
Sheena, right.
I'm sorry?
Sheena, right.
Right. Oh, sorry. She. To the extent that there were communications, they can, of course, claim spousal privilege. Now, a spouse can agree to waive and testify anyway, but if both of them don't want the testimony to come out, they can claim spousal privilege.
Cathy, the purpose of yesterday's hearing, that was to set a timeline for this case. Now, Mayor Adams' attorneys, they filed two motions, one to dismiss charges, the other to investigate leaks about the case. When do you think we can expect a judge to rule on those, and do you expect more motions will be filed?
The second question first. There will certainly be more motions filed. There will be more motions if there are new charges addressed to the indictment. There will probably be motions addressed to the gathering of evidence. If there were search warrants used, which we know there was at least at Mayor Adams' residence, they will probably challenge whether there was appropriate probable cause and whether it's a truthful affidavit. There are motions that will be addressed to discovery and to evidence that's admissible or not admissible in the case, and it'll come in two waves. There'll be motions initially addressed to the substantive parts of the charges and what evidence was gathered, and then closer to trial there'll be something called motions in limine, which are, we now have seen the evidence and we don't think this is appropriate, we think this is appropriate, and those motions will be done. I forget your first question. I apologize.
That's okay, Cathy. Let's talk about the prosecutors. They're still trying to access the information in a locked cell phone that was seized from Mayor Adams months ago. Does their case fall apart if they can't unlock that phone?
I'd be surprised if their case falls apart. They're certainly trying hard to get it open, and it's frustrating for prosecutors because you can't force somebody to give you a password. It's testimonial, and it's protected by a Fifth Amendment privilege. If they had a fingerprint password or a face recognition password, they could have required him to open the phone, but not when you have to speak to give the password. I would think that, but remember, if you have text messages, there's another party on the text messages. So they may have some text messages from other people, and they can always get his emails from his ISP provider, Gmail or AOL or whoever he uses, Yahoo. So they can still get it, but it's a lot easier if you have the phone.
Yeah, just getting back to that question about the motions that were filed yesterday, we're just wondering what the timeline would be, because I know the mayor's team has been asking for a speedy trial.
It's really going to be up to what the judge's predilection is in this. I would imagine that in a high-profile case where he knows the press and everybody are watching, and he is mindful of Speedy Trial Act concerns, I would think that he would try to move them as quickly as, I think it's she, who move them as quickly as she can. But it's interesting. It's really up to the judge how quickly it happens.
All right, let's talk about yesterday's hearing. Prosecutors making claims of witness tampering, and they rattled off a long list of evidence they'd like to include in the discovery process. Defense attorneys arguing that's a sign of a weak case. What do you think?
I don't know if it's a weak case. Until you see the evidence, you can't tell if it's weak or not. The witness tampering is interesting. That's really something that should be proven at a trial and not at this stage. And I think that does sound a little bit like we're getting a little concerned of what's happening here with witnesses. But I think that having text messages, emails, the rest, it really will come down to how strong their case is. I know they're going to have cooperators. It'll come down to how strong their cooperators are when they testify. Do they fall apart under cross-examination? Do they have their own problems? There's a lot that's here.
Yeah, we've run out of time, Kathy, but I do want to ask you real quickly, how soon do you think that they will set a trial date?
I think it'll be set at the next court appearance. And it'll be they're usually control dates. They rarely happen on the day the trial is really set. But Mayor Adams's team is adamant they want a speedy trial. They want to get there as quickly as possible, and they don't want it to interfere with the election cycle. So it may get more accelerated than other people in terms of getting a trial date.
All right. Former federal prosecutor Cathy Fleming, great insight as always. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Good day.